Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Pro Series for one final match out in the main arena tonight. We are at the last 16 stage and got a great match up last. Number 2 seed and currently the highest ranked player remaining in the tournament, Declan Brennan, takes on one of the up-and-coming and most exciting players on the turf, Phil Parkin.
Ooh.
Mark Shepherd and Simon Webb with you for this one. Right on cue, the match starts with some early drama.
Yeah, welcome to commentary here. This is a brutal win-off. It looks like he's avoided it. He's a little dangerously close, but not that bad. And then boom. Oh, yeah, feel your pain there, Declan. That is, that's a tough one.
It's a season or two ago where Phil Parkin looked like a player that could nick the odd match, but wasn't really a tournament winner. But he's had 2 runners-up spots, once last year and then once in a Pro Series this year. Really starting to look like a serious tournament contender now.
Huge fan of Phil. I love the way he goes about the game and the belief he has.
Plays the game in a very entertaining style. Likes to go for a shot. Do you feel like it's getting to the stage where we've been talking the whole day about how Declan's the highest ranked player and all of the other seeds seem to have been falling by the wayside? It does feel like it's sort of ramping up the pressure on him. He's had to do it the hard way, had to come through a deciding frame against Dylan Leary in the last round.
Yeah, it's amazing how it's happened, isn't it? It really is. The top seeds have all fallen away apart from one man out there.
Well, I guess Chris Melling, after a slow start, seems to have looked like he should have been out, but seems to be back in it now. Seems to be warming up.
Top half the draw as well, and he's also just slid down the rankings a little bit as well. He's no longer the top seed, although he will always be one of the big favourites for the event. Doesn't matter what the ranking says.
No, he slipped down the rankings partly because he hasn't been here for a few of the events as well.
This is going to be a quick start for Phil, and he does everything quickly. He's got a great rhythm out there as Phil Parkin. If you've not seen him play before, you should enjoy it. He's very brisk around the table, box office style.
He seems to have moulded in a bit more accuracy. It's always been really box office, but was a little prone to slipping out of position. Seems to have cut down on that quite significantly over the last year or two. Up to 19th in the rankings now, up from somewhere in the 40s, so definitely a man going in the right direction.
Yeah, well, that man there's got his eyes set on something a little bit bigger than that. The #1 prize is awaiting him if he was to win the tournament tomorrow. But to do that, he's got to get to tomorrow. Also, tomorrow could be fun and games because that's where the crossover of events happens. He could be in a strange situation where he could lose in event 2 before he wins event 1 and become the #1 player and lose it almost instantly as well. If that was to happen, obviously I'm going a little bit far ahead there, but what I'm getting at is that just by getting to the #1 tomorrow isn't everything. Being #1 come Sunday night is probably the stronger goal. Although Declan is ultimately not really too bothered. It's more about winning the titles.
Accusing look at the table. Phil can't work out how nothing's gone in. Last match of the night for both of these players. Whoever comes through goes through to the quarterfinals tomorrow, which will resume tomorrow afternoon. As you say, there'll be beginning action in Pro Series 8 in the meantime.
Tomorrow lunchtime, yeah, the quarterfinals, 12:30. So they'll probably have depending on where they are in the draw, they may have a Pro Series 8 match to play before they get to their quarterfinal. Slightly loose on that from Declan.
He's welded himself right in amongst those reds. I'm not sure if you can see the edge of the yellow.
Declan's just come off a grueling deciding frame battle. We saw him out here on the main feature table this afternoon, and then he had to go off and play in the last 32. Played Dylan Leary, went all the way to the decider. Multiple chances on back and forth final frame. And was able to come over and get the victory. But it's been an hour and a half, 2 hours since then, I think. It's not as though it's immediately after it. He's had time to decompress and go again, so I don't think it'll be a factor at all.
No, it's always reasonably chilled the first day. 3 matches maximum today. It's tomorrow that starts getting busy if you go deep, because you're playing 2 events at the same time.
And it's not as though his opponent hasn't exactly been through the ringer as well. He's had 2 very tight matches. 8-6 in both. Ryan Pisani in his first round match, and then Phil Harrison, former world champion, in his second match. Both of them 8-6. Ryan Pisani's been playing well. He took down the Flyer last night, full of top players. I know he's in good form. So 2 notable victories for Phil.
Yeah, they both played quite a lot of pool, haven't they? This is the 30th frame of the day for both of them. Not that that's a bad thing, really. Spaced out over the course of a day, just gets you warmed up. Those Flyers running constantly, so players who've got knocked out of some of the other events have got an opportunity to get straight back in action. It's all a bit more subdued in here. We've got 20 tables in this room, 68 next door. That's where all the action's really happening.
Yeah, they've got the music pumping out there as well. I just popped out there to have a quick word with our tournament director, see what the plans are for tomorrow, and yeah, the music's blaring, everyone's having a good time. The night's rounding out, actually. They're ahead of schedule. They're nearly done for the night, so everyone will be out there playing, and probably playing a few minis and having a bit of fun. Party time.
Yeah, and all credit to the organisers. I think it's a slicker operation than when we were first in Wigan back in April. Learned from some of the feedback from that. And that's kind of what you want, party time. Obviously for the top pros it's a serious occasion, but for a lot of other people it's a weekend away. They want to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, and 𝗏𝗏𝗃 understand that. Plans to go bigger and better next year. You could be a part of it, of course. Information is starting to come out for next year's events. If you want to be a part of it, come here and watch some of these great players. You also get to play in your own events. You can. Make sure you're following 𝗏𝗏𝗃 social media channels, and all that information will be there for you. How to get yourself into these events. Potentially earning the right to be on this stage if you're good enough. You can earn your way through the Challenger tours now, as I think it's going to. It's expanding. Different tiers, different ways through.
Well, Parkin played on the Challenger before moving up to the pro ranks.
We have our second quarter-finalist as well. We're keeping an eye on the Chris Melling, Jimmy Croxton match. Chris Melling has finally completed victory after being 6-0 in front. He's rounded out victory 8-3. So after surviving a monumental scare in the previous round, he is now through to the quarterfinals. He will play the winner of Eddie Barker and Josh Kane. Josh is currently 5-1 up, so over 50s world champion Eddie Barker has work to do there.
Looked really good when we saw him on one of the other stream tables this afternoon, Eddie Barker. Came through 8-4 against Sean Chipperfield in the previous round. He was definitely the better player in that match.
Really pleased for Eddie winning that over 50s title. It may not have been, he was obviously there for a few tournaments, but it's so nice to see, you know, he's such a nice guy around the events, liked by everybody. So to see him take down a big title like that, beating a very good player in Lee Kendall in the final. Brilliant performance from Eddie.
Wasn't a whole long way away from winning the main World Championships as well. Got to the semi-finals there.
Well, Declan is scratching his head, and he's scratching his head because he cannot control the cue ball right now. He's a mile away.
Yeah, we were having a word with him, weren't we, at lunchtime? He was saying he's finding this the quickest table he'd ever played on, which, given we've had some quite quick arena tables, is saying something.
He's not going to make this one. Slow start here for Declan Brennan. I know that Declan and Tom have a... There is a rivalry there, and we'll try and build it up more than it perhaps is. You know, they have a lot of time and respect for each other. You know, but it is a rivalry, that they are by far and away the two top players in the game right now. Do you think that... I mean, they're both going to downplay this #1 ranking thing. But to me, I think it's probably bigger than either of them are letting on. You know, if you're Tom and you've been the #1 for, what, 2.5 years, you don't want that to go. I imagine it must be quite nice to be the #1 and people talking about all your titles and everything else. And obviously Declan to do that, to be able to take that away from him with the number of titles that Tom's won would be incredible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think especially as well, it's not like Tom's squeaked the #1 title and just been clinging onto it. We've been talking about it as such a dominant... He's been absolutely dominating parts of the last 2 or 3 years. The idea that he could even be dethroned seems almost incredible. It could have been a reality at the last Pro Series event.
It's more about Declan than it is about Tom dropping off. Tom is still, you know, still absolutely flying. You know, Tom has, you know, has won 2 more, you know, another 2 tournaments this year on the Pro Tour. You know, it's not as though he's dropped off. He's still, you know, if he wins 1 more before the year's out, he's still winning the same. You know, he's still continuing to churn them out. Just Declan has stayed with him. 5 finals last year with 1 title. This year he's, what's he at, 3 finals and 2 titles. Don't forget that he made the final of the World Championships, of course, which was unranked, which if you can believe that, unranked World Championship final.
Yeah, and I think there's some element of fulfilling his destiny. There are a few players that have come into the game with more hype than Declan, not from him, but just from other people talking about what a good player he was. I think he's always been under some pressure to deliver. He's delivered in spades over the last couple of seasons and before that even, but I think getting to that #1 title would feel like the fulfillment of a journey to that place.
Well, nothing he can do right now. He's off to a very slow start and feels happy to pick up the pieces.
Phil definitely looking like a potential winner now of events. He's always been such a good potter, but where he used to go wrong was that he'd play a few good shots, then slip out of position, and that was kind of what was fun to watch, because he was so good at recovering position. He was always chasing the cue ball around the table. Now he's just making the game look that bit easier.
Declan's very good at finding the cue ball out there, which is what he needs. But he can't afford to let it drift on too long before he gets to grips with it, because Phil will just keep picking him off. Yeah,
at this level, it doesn't matter who you're playing or how good you are, you can't have your opponent going too far ahead. Obviously you can make comebacks, but you can't rely on keep doing that. And generally there's been a lot of praise for the playing conditions, and I don't think Declan was complaining that the table was bad in any way, but just saying just how fast it was. Started of breaking on this main arena table today. It's been decent for the most part, but it's not been perfect. I've seen quite a few players that haven't quite got the measure of it.
I feel like I've seen on the matches I've commentated on a lot of these type layouts where there's work. It's not just deal with one problem and then make sure. It's feel like we're almost starting at an odds against situation. If he's eyeing up a 3-ball plant here, this is super high tariff. This is a very off angle. And it refuses to fall.
Yeah, I mean, that was tight to the cushion, several inches from the pocket, and not straight as well. Not an easy chance, but a chance for Phil Parkin to press on. 2-0 to the good. Just to keep his opponent on 0 for as long as he can. Coming back to what we were saying about breaking, the two best breaks I've seen today were both from Eddie Barker. Was it taking a bit of pace off versus some of the players, but it was just getting such a smooth connection and the balls just seemed to explode. She had two finishes that you couldn't really fail to roll in. All the balls were just sort of rolled into the middle of the table. There's no traffic anywhere.
I think maybe there's a little bit of overhitting going on out there, maybe with the perfect conditions, the table playing so slick, the brand new balls. Maybe the players could do with slowing it down, getting that quality right, if that's the way Eddie was going and it was working. Players do monitor what other people do and try and kind of replicate.
Yeah, I think there's some element of pride with some of the pros. They feel like they have to smash it as hard as they can, but we've quite consistently seen players taking pace off. I mean, if you think of the ladies' game, players like Marion Jude don't hit the ball that hard, but get such a good connection. Sometimes it's the quality of the strike rather than the outright pace. Now, can you see the passing angle of this red? It's just got a bit tangled up with the yellow, giving us a hard look. It's really close to the cushion, so he's not going to be able to borrow a load by playing cushion first. Bend it slightly, and that was just what cost him. If he didn't have to put that spin on, that would have been close to unmissable. See Phil's reaction there. It's really the previous shot rather than that one that he's annoyed about.
I love that. It's a great replay. I love seeing all that sort of emotion from players.
Yeah, Phil's one that gives you a bit more than, it's not somebody that just goes back to his seat quietly, likes to explain what's happened. Makes the game more entertaining, doesn't it, seeing that kind of reaction? Especially once we're at this time of the night, there's a bit more of a crowd in, a bit more of a buzz around the table. Biggest crowd of the day was for that 6-red shootout that Chris Melling was involved in earlier on. Oh, as we see, what a shot Declan's played there. It's completely misjudged that. Didn't think for any moment he was going to just leave a clear shot at this red ball, open pocket. Although there is some complexity still for Phil, because even though the pot's unmissable, how does he get good position on the black? He could play to screw off the yellow, but it's going to be quite an unpredictable result given how close the balls are. How's his luck? Ooh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Not perfect on this black, but that could have ended up anywhere. Don't blame him for playing that shot like that. You actually probably give yourself a better chance by being positive. Get the cue ball moving up towards the top of the table. Just hope you catch enough cushions or enough balls that you take a bit of the pace out of it. If you try and control the shot too carefully, you can get stuck at the other end. Ah, good finish from Phil. Parkin in the end holds up his hand. Declan's going to feel a bit aggrieved with that. The way that cue ball was flying around the table, anything could have happened. But you've got to say, it was his previous shot. There's no way he should have been leaving Phil the open pocket there. So we come back into the main arena. Phil Parkin 3-0 up already as he breaks off in frame 4.
What a break that is. Oh, wow. Actually not come out as well as it could have done, considering how good the break was.
Yeah, he threw himself into it, but timed it really well as well. So the benefit of the pace and the connection. Yeah, it's one of those ones that on a different day that could really explode everywhere and leave you a really simple finish. Got chances, but it's not a complete tap-in from where he is. Three-0's a good start, but that's a lead that can be turned around quite quickly. If Phil could just find a way of adding one or two more frames while Declan's still parked on 0, that would really put him in a commanding position. And after the quality of that break, just couldn't quite find an opening pot. So red's obviously going to be the choice here with that ball over the top right corner. That's a nice shot. Didn't overhit that. Just flick the yellow out of the way. I like to take the red that's to the right of the cue ball first, because that's the more difficult one to land nicely on. Oh, that's a good bit of cueing. Just holding up his hand there, worried the cue ball was going to run too far. Ran out into the crowd. 𝗪𝗁𝗘 looking on.
Waiting for a table is Chris. He's still got a match left to play tonight for a spot in the quarterfinals. He's got Shaun Sharkey. Still 2 matches going on in the top half of the draw, and those tables need to be emptied before Shaun Sharkey and Chris Day, John Chambers and Josh Duaz can play.
It's going to be a late-ish night, although by pool player standards not too bad. Plus, you can hardly complain if you're playing in the last 16. If you're happy to be there. This has been good from Declan. His semi-open position when he came to the table, but he's had to make a little bit of himself.
This is a tricky shot, though. It could go wrong. Oh, played well. That could easily go wrong, that shot. Cue ball gets wrong. Red gets stuck behind the yellow.
Yeah, he committed to pushing past the yellow, didn't he? And that positive approach has paid off. Turned out well as well. Simple 8 ball. He's finally opened his account. It's taken him 4 frames to get there. Gets himself on the board. And that's where that lead isn't going to be feeling quite so big for Phil anymore. You know that once Declan starts firing, it could all turn around pretty quickly.
Indeed. Well, I said there was a couple of matches still going on in the top half of the draw. Let's update you. We know Carl Morris is already through. He'll play the winner of Joe Prince and Rob Chambers. 5-2 now for Joe Prince is his lead. And then we know Chris Melling's already through. He beat Jimmy Croxton. He will play the winner of Eddie Barker and Josh Kane, currently 6-4 to Killer Kane. We have 2 matches currently in action from the bottom half of the draw. Simon Fitzsimmons is 1-1 with Liam White. And he will play, or the winner of that will play the winner of our match in the quarterfinals, which leaves Shaun Sharkey and Chris Day and John Chambers and Josh Duaz as 2 matches still to go on.
Well, I'm not sure quite how he's gone dry there, because when you saw the initial contact, there were balls flying everywhere. Ultimately, the ball that came closest to going down was the cue ball. He's got a couple of opening pots on. Nothing completely straightforward. Congestion in the top left-hand corner. The easiest starting pot's the yellow, but it's got that yellow a bit tied up top left. Had to be yellows really, but as in the last frame, misses the opening pot. Also, much like in the last frame, having missed the opening pot leaves Declan with an easier start than he had himself. This is what Phil doesn't want to be doing. One thing if Declan gets the odd frame off his own break, but Phil doesn't want to be giving him these chances. May have the angle to play yellow off red here to open up the pocket. That's what he tries. turned out okay. Still got a bit of congestion over that side, but he's got the balls more open than they were. Wants to focus on the top of the table for now. The ball at the bottom can be left until last if need be to connect to the 8 ball.
Needs one good shot here just to make these ones at the top nice and simple.
So target a cannon on the red to the left of the 2 yellows.
Just playing position. It's just gone a little too far there. So the cue ball's going to be running loose. He wanted to be not straight, but like quarter turn pass straight, and then you're just dropping it in. And that quarter turn pass just allows there to be a touch more separation to give you a bit more control. Straight would have been okay. He couldn't afford to be too short on it, which is why he got a touch long. And this is okay as long as when he hits the red, he holds on that line. If he catches it thin and could just lose the cue ball and not be on the final yellow here. And he's not. Exactly what I said. Just didn't quite hold on it. Looks okay from our camera angle, but oh no, it's not. Oh, it's not. Couldn't get the juice on the ball there. And that's where that shot where he just ran too far, it just sent him down a path where ultimately ends up snookering himself on the potting angle. Fine margins in this game.
Just adds up over the course of a few shots. Be relieved Phil Parkin. He's missed the first part of the last 2 frames. Could have cost him both of them. Chance to make amends here though. He'd love to just hang on to this lead. Just keep Declan behind. Still doesn't guarantee winning the match longer term, but as long as he can hold the lead into the last part of the match, it just gives him that bit of extra comfort. You see, that's the kind of slightly loose positional shot he does throw in occasionally. Just didn't quite control where the second red was going. It's fine for the ball to the middle, but he's now got to track back up. It's a more difficult way of linking these 3 balls up. That's why he got drawn into playing kind of non-obvious shot, just because he was trying to play a better position.
He's been lucky. He's been very lucky here not to leave anything better than this for Declan. Although Declan should be pleased that he gets back to the table, because he would have expected Phil to counter there. But he's going to have to find something special here. The good news is he can see the yellow, so he can do what he wants with it, but no easy way to get that going near a pocket. He may have semi-got away with this as well. How easy is it to pot this ball and get on something?
It's fairly straight, he may be okay, but it's not going to be the easiest positional shot even then. It's got a bit scrappy from both players.
Straight's no good, but he's got a touch of angle, but how much? How much does he have to force this, or do you just pull up and play safe? Oh, he had enough. He had enough. Forces it up.
That's quite some piece of cueing, isn't it? He didn't have a lot of angle to work with there.
Barely touched it.
Really got through the ball so well, didn't he? Because if he'd been playing that last ball from distance, it would have been missable, but so well to get nicely on it. 3-frame lead re-established. Be a bit happier now as he sits in his chair. Could have lost both of the last 2 frames. Loses the first one, wins the second one. So back to where we were, which is a 3-frame lead. It's all proving a little difficult for Declan right now. He's played some good stuff, but just can't quite get the momentum going. He's during the tail of his day. It's been a hard-fought day. Although that's okay sometimes. Just get through these earlier round matches. See, now we're starting to head towards the business end. The goal, obviously, on the first day just has to be to book your place on day 2. Can't win the tournament if you got knocked out. You've just got to keep battling. Once you come back on the Saturday through to the quarterfinals, you can start having a more realistic thought about a deep run. Over half the match clock used up now. 4-1 to the good. Parkin breaks off in frame 6. 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗵 just edging towards the corner pocket. And fell in slow motion in the end. Bit unfortunate. Took a sort of heavy contact in the middle of the table. You weren't quite expecting it to bounce that far back. So ball in hand behind the break line, just manages to find a position where he can get through to that yellow. Big frame this, 5-1 is a bit too much probably. 4-2, don't feel fine about it. He used to hold the pocket there as well. The natural gap he can play for between the 8 ball and the red that's above the yellow he's playing now, so he can get through to that ball to the left centre. It's the only difficult one to access. Really helped having ball in hand at the beginning of this clearance. Just let him get after one of the difficult balls and set him off on a good track. Since then he's been in pretty good position. Ball still goes to the bottom left corner, so no problem with the position. Well, that's better. This is what Declan's been looking for, just to get a bit more fluency in his game. Quick 6th frame there. Still 2 behind, but showing some signs of warming up to the game.
Probably not contained enough. You want to carry on watching that one? That's over on table 4. Table 3 right now has Josh Kane and Eddie Barker. Josh Kane still on the hill, 7-5 up. Simon Fitzsimmons and Liam White are currently going on table 2. Just get the feeling this could come down to a very dramatic climax, this match. Neither player will be thrilled about their situation right now. Phil Parkin will feel like he could be in a stronger position, and he's kept a very big player close enough to him, and Declan won't be pleased with how he's playing yet.
Yeah, I agree with you. Even though 4-2 might seem like it could be a bit one-sided, I think actually there's the potential for it to be quite a tight finish.
The level they can both play at is potentially one mistake. Now, that's not the level they're playing at right now, but you don't feel like either are that far away.
No, and that's what they both know about the other. They could suddenly snap into gear.
That's not good. Can he get to the centre of the cue ball enough to make this okay?
No problem with the pot, but just wants to try and hang on to the cue ball.
This ball at the top of the table was his last ball. That was the plan. Okay, not too bad then. Could get close enough to the centre. It's gone wrong. why he would not have wanted to play those two back to back.
Second red was always going to track to the right, so he did the right thing getting the cue ball over that side, but the ball's just bounced a bit further up the table than he wanted. Well, that might not actually be a foul after all. That, how often do you see that? Completely missed the ball on the way up, all the way around the angles. Let's have a look again at this. Misses the thin edge of the red. Comes off 1, 2, 3 cushions and then still plays a legal shot, which does change things because ball in hand there for Phil Parkin. He'd been able to get after the balls at the top of the table. Now he's going to have to start with nothing to do with the ball to the middle, but it's just how he gets nicely on those two balls that he's just cannoned. Just love the second ball to have sprung a bit further out. He can quite get through to the potting angle of it. If he can, maybe he can. If he can get through direct, this is fine. Another frame that he feels quite big. I've said that a couple of times. It's just kind of balanced on a bit of a knife edge this match. Phil Parkin's just on the edge of a lead that would be comfortable, but just can't quite open up a big enough lead. He's had a 3-frame lead twice. He's got a chance of opening up to 3 again. It's the quality of Declan Brennan that anything short of a 3 or 4-frame lead just feels like it can be overtaken so quickly. Played a lovely shot a frame or so ago where he was almost straight like this and just forced an angle that didn't really look there. That time it was even straighter, and it's gone really badly wrong. Not only has he missed, but he's left Declan plumb on his difficult, well, plumb on his only ball. Now it could have been a chance to open up a 3-frame lead. Turn into a 1-frame lead, and that is not going to be feeling anywhere near as comfortable for Phil. In some ways he'd be the less happy of the two players as he sat in his chair, even though he does still hold the single frame advantage. Still not completely firing on all cylinders, but just doing enough, just hanging on in this match. Sometimes that's what you've got to do. Great players do, just hang on in a match for long enough that they can make something happen. So it's Phil's break, 4-3 up. It's going to feel like a pretty narrow lead at the moment. 17 minutes 06 on the match clock. A bit of time in this match. I've seen some powerful breaks so far from Phil. And there's another one. It's not just powerful, but he's transferring the power into the pack. One of those players that always looks like he's under a bit of pressure in terms of his body language. You don't very often see him in matches that are completely straightforward, where it just looks like a walk in the park. It looks like he gives himself something to do in most matches, but at the same time always seems to produce a good quality because he's used to being under that slight pressure. It seems to be what he thrives on sometimes. No problem with the last 2 yellows. Gonna have to find a way of getting position over towards the 8 ball. He's going to have to do it off the ball over the middle. That's pretty much perfect. Just wanted to make sure he had this kind of angle so he could come over. This 8-ball's in the kind of position where if you're anywhere near being behind it, it's really easy, but if you have to cut it from distance, it becomes missable.
Couldn't be better on it.
Good clearance that, actually, because he was under pressure, even though he's been ahead for most of this match. Just the fact that Declan keeps getting back into it. Whatever lead Phil's got just isn't quite feeling enough. Yeah, whoever you support, it's hard not to be a fan of the way Chris Melling plays, at least. It's just such an entertaining game.
Yeah, I actually love the way that Josh goes about it as well. I'm really surprised he hasn't, I mean, he's won last man standing, but I'm surprised he hasn't won something else.
Yeah, he's got 2 Ultimate Pool titles, but both non-ranky events, the pairs and the last man standing. I think he's been knocking on the door of some of the bigger individual pro events. Following the cue of his opponent, he's been breaking very well. Declan seemed to get a bit of extra pace into that one. The whole match has really been the same narrative. It's just Phil gets ahead by 1, 2 or 3 frames, and then Declan finds a way of closing the gap. Eventually he's going to run out of room to do that, so he'll try to get back on level terms as we get into the last few frames.
Just a touch short again. He's just not quite been on point, has he? Been consistent through the match. Just here and there. Just not quite got that cue ball right, and he's then giving himself work.
It's been close, but it's just that last millimetre or two that sometimes makes the difference between it being an easy game and getting yourself under this kind of pressure.
If this goes to the corner, then he's recovered. It's not what he was playing. Well, it does go to the corner. You saw him when he left it the previous one short. He just had a little glance, so that helps.
Just can't quite get comfortable with where he puts his hand.
Yeah, very, very twitchy on this one. No mistake though. Good response this from Declan. Quick fire return.
Yeah, it was, and it was a good last yellow, because often you see people struggling to settle down for a shot and they make a real mess of the shot, but actually a bit of trouble figuring out where to put his hand, but struck it really nicely once he'd figured that out. So the lead back to 1 again. Phil Parkin to break in the next frame. A few more minutes yet at the 30-second shot clock. Seems almost inevitable that some portion of the match is going to be played at the 15-second mark. So facially, both of these players do look to be under a bit of pressure. Neither looks entirely calm. They both look like they're trying to settle themselves down, but they just look like they're just grasping at it a bit still.
This one could be very dramatic.
We've seen the lead cut to 1. Phil stepped up and cleared off his own break the last time of asking. We know it's going to be a big break. What's the result going to be? Seemed almost inevitable he was going to pot something, but it was one of the last balls rolling that eventually found the corner. Throwing up the yellow to the bottom right. You can play that and play the other yellow that's down this end of the table. Get that out the way.
It's messy. That yellow on the... Oh, I've tied it with a couple of reds. It's a problem. Not a great breaker ball for it either. Is he thinking double? It's on the double now. Not sure if he can get onto the next yellow if he plays it though. This is a slightly better angle on the double. He's not messing around with the reds with the cue ball. Beautiful shot.
Couldn't really strike that better, could you? Both the cue ball and the object ball, everything was just perfect. You've left a nice angle here. It's so easy to play that and not quite leave yourself on that last ball. So you're going to be back-to-back clearances from his own break.
Keeps doing this, there's nothing Declan Brennan can do. Just keep stretching that lead. Fabulous stuff, this. Had work, just confidently went about it, dealt with it. Very clinical feeling to that visit to the table. Never felt like anything other than the break clearance was going to happen. And we have news. The top half of the draw is now complete, as Joe Prince has completed victory over Rob Chambers. He will now play Carl Morris tomorrow lunchtime in the quarterfinals, which means our final match of the day will be out to be going on table 4, and that will be Sean Sharkey taking on Chris Day. John Chambers has just taken the opening frame against Josh Duaz. Simon Fitzsimmons is 3-2 up over Liam White. That's over on table 2 right now. So it'll be a late night finish on tables 2, 3 and 4. We've only got 11 minutes left out here. It looks like Phil Parkin holds all the aces. And the dry break will not help Declan Brennan's cause.
It's like the match has been more about Phil. It's been him that's been in first more often than not. Declan's managed to pick up a few scraps along the way. He's done it pretty well, given he's not had a whole load of really good chances. He's only 2 frames behind. But now, chance to eye up the 3-frame lead again for Phil. Minutes 20 on the match clock, so we're about to hear the bell which signifies the shorter shot clock. Well, good news and bad news. He made the pot, the cue ball's safe, but it's not in a great spot. I don't think he's got a pot on here. The only ball he can really see any meaningful amount of is the one below the cue ball. Options a bit limited with that one. Flick off the side. In fact, tried to miss it. Play the ball at the bottom of the table cushion first. Not a bad shot. He had some chance of making the pot there. And he had some chance of leaving things at least a bit difficult. Declan just realising that we're playing with a shorter shot clock. Just called for the extension. You see a missed pot, but that was a tricky one he had to go after.
It's just not a comfortable feeling when you're trailing by 2 and you're in the final 10 minutes. You get a layout like this. Tough when you see your opponent killing time. He's created a big pocket here for Declan. He may feel like he's got to go, and he's got problems at the top end of the table. Didn't even need the big pocket. Oh, got the red instead of the yellow. Needed the yellow. Oh, beautiful. That wasn't as easy as he made it look. You play that straight into the cushion, you can't get the angle. You had to play that with a tracer side, and you flick too much on, you look silly.
Yeah, there was a moment where that looked like a slight air of desperation, but played it so well in the end.
Oh, these yellows at the top must be a plant. He had no attempt to go into them, which I thought he was going to there. So these two at the top must be a plant, but if he's not straight on it, he might have a struggle holding here, because the first yellow isn't going to move very far. I mean, he will want angle on that last ball, but he doesn't want too much to make it a tough ball. And he has got quite a bit, but tricky pot, but he'd take this when he came to the table, no doubt about it.
A gap down the side of the table that he can afford to overhit the cue ball if necessary.
The yellow's not going to fall for him.
So a big moment this for Phil Parkin. Chance to get on the hill, open up a 3-frame lead with the match clock rapidly ticking down. He's beaten some big names over the last season or two, Phil Parkin, but this will be another one to add to the list if he can get the job done. One good shot here, not too much to do with the cue ball. Now just dot to dot. So a 3-frame lead twice already in this match. Neither of those felt completely comfortable, even though it sounds a big lead. This one will feel a whole lot more comfortable though. It's going to be a bit under 5.5 minutes remaining after this 8 ball has been potted.
We've talked a lot, Mark, about the _1 ranking. This could be the final blow, it feels, for Declan Brennan in this tournament. You feel like he's going to get there at some point. But do you, as Phil does get himself one away and has the break, but the clock is against Declan here. Do you think Tom Cousins, I know Tom Cousins is in the building, he's having a couple of drinks with some friends. Do you think he's keeping half an eye on this with a little wry smile? Well, I'll keep it for another day.
Yeah, I mean, probably a bit. As you say, there's a sort of friendly rivalry. It's not like a rivalry where they want to see the other one fail. They essentially both want to do well.
There's a huge amount of respect between the two of them, there really is. But yeah, I do think that they both think about it more than they're letting on.
Yeah, I think you wouldn't be human if you didn't. Yeah, Tom will be, in a way, a little bit relieved if that is the outcome. He's lost. Tom's problem this season has not been the wins. He's won 2 tournaments. It's been that he's had a few early exits, so he hasn't been picking up ranking points in those events.
Doesn't have the quarterfinal, semi-finals. He's just got, if he gets past the first round, he wins the tournament. That's what it's felt like this year. It's not quite been the case, but that's what it certainly felt like.
He has lost to a couple of players you wouldn't necessarily have picked. Josh Dew has knocked him out twice. Zach Cooper today.
Yeah, agree. But, well, barring something strange here, he will be the #1 player tomorrow night. Will he be on Sunday night? That is still up for grabs. Phil can just control himself there, out there now. Can obviously win the frame to win the match, but every second that passes by is a second that plays into his hands. But this is a layout where he'll fancy just getting the job done and rounding out the night. What does that mean? Who's the highest seed left in the tournament if this plays out this way? Chris Melling in 13th, I suppose. That would be some story, wouldn't it?
Yes, it's crazy that
Cousins has gone, Brennan will be gone, McAllister's gone, Waddingham's gone, Chipperfield's gone, Davies has gone, Dempsey's gone, Story's gone, Lambert's gone, Harrison's gone, Gilbert's gone, Melling in 12th, and Josh Kane in 14th.
Yeah, Chris Melling 12th on the current rankings and 34th on the one-year list.
I know, that's big, that is. I know he's missed a Pro Series weekend and the Players' Championship, essentially 3 ranking events. But until the Masters, he'd barely won a match. It would be very Chris Melling just to turn up and win this weekend. He'll certainly go to bed tonight as the favourite. I think he was already the bookies' favourite, even though Declan Brennan was still in the tournament. Such is his legendary status in the game. But he will be the highest ranked player as well, as Phil Power is all but certain here. 2 balls away, the match clock in his favour, and this has been a very entertaining match. But it is the Power that gets the job done. He knocks out Declan Brennan and he keeps the Northern Irishman in the number 2 ranking, and he books his place in another quarter-final. Brilliant stuff out there from Phil Parkin. Really, really high quality and entertaining stuff. We're going to hear from him after this short break, but also just to keep you updated, there is still matches still going on tables 2, 3 and 4. Still plenty for you to enjoy. And join us again in a couple of minutes and we will get a few words with Phil the Power.